Therefore, adhyasa and previous adhyasa and samskara, this series itself implies a time. And is the time adhyasta or not? So once you take that it is within adhyasa, then the same problem comes. Though you try to defend that it is not, it is adhyasta, still it is outside adhyasa alone, because this cannot be accepted. Nahi vastavam janyatvam janakatvam va anubhavan adhyaso nama bhavati. This is the main sentence. An adhyasa, when it is really born, what is adhyasa? What is adhyasa can never be subject to birth and death. This is what we discussed in detail in our previous class. Adhyasa doesn't have a beginning or an end. Because adhyasa means just an appearance, a wrong appearance. Without being there, it appears to be there. The very appearance is a misunderstanding or a Brahma. Brahma doesn't have a beginning or an ending. A Sarpa doesn't have a beginning or an ending. This is the biggest problem the post-Shankarites have created for themselves. Once you say adhyasa, then why try to apply the time, place, relation, cause and effect and all? If you start applying this cause and effect, then it becomes a reality. See, the very nature of adhyasa is, the Bhranti means it is just a false appearance. So, a false appearance doesn't have a real time and place and condition and existence and all. All that is an appearance. Okay. So, nahi vastavam, this sentence is important. Nahi vastavam janyatvam janakatvam va anubhavan adhyaso nama bhavati. It can't be called adhyasa when it has a real birth and ending. What is really born and what is ending? That means what has a birth and what has an ending cannot be called adhyasa. And what is adhyasta? A misunderstanding cannot have any beginning or ending, just like a dream. Oh, we discussed this elaborately in Vishuddha Vedanta Sara. How dream, which is a false appearance, nobody has ever experienced a beginning for it. Do you see? A dream beginning? Dream doesn't begin. Dream doesn't even end also. You won't see the termination of dream. You see dream is false, that's all. You come to understand. Or you look at you stand as a Sakshi and look at it where there is no dream. You find Sakshi without a dream, that's all. There is no termination. Termination is closing, concluding. There is no conclusion of dream. There is no beginning of dream. Whenever you are in dream, you find that it has been there. The time appears within dream. So when you are in dream, you are a person within the dream, watching the dream, experiencing the dream, and the dream world appears as if it has been there. It has been there from the time immemorial. So nobody can see the beginning of dream. Have you ever felt that I have just now begun the dream? I have just now begun the dream. Nobody can experience the beginning of dream. See, this is most important, because the way we discuss this, that there is no birth and death, no beginning and ending, this is the very nature of misunderstanding, the very nature of adhyasa. Adhyasa or Brahma or misunderstanding doesn't have a beginning. This is the most important statement of Swamiji. You see the any nature of any adhyasa, any misunderstanding, any mistake, you can never see the beginning of it. You find that you are in adhyasa, you are in a misunderstanding, that's all. A mistake doesn't begin. You find yourself in a mistake. This is the very nature of Adhyasa, very nature of Brahma, that they missed it. Nobody can ever see the beginning of any misunderstanding, because misunderstanding is beginningless. And misunderstanding doesn't get exhausted. As you are seeing the snake, do you see the beginning of the snake? Or do you see that keep on watching, after some time snake disappears on its own? No. More you see, more it continues. More you dream, you continue to dreaming. See, while dreaming, by dreaming can you terminate the dream? By dreaming can you exhaust a dream? You dream, again dream, again dream. Can you exhaust the dream by dreaming? You can't. By dreaming you can't exhaust the dream. Note this. By dreaming you can't exhaust the dream. If you dream, you are in dream, that's all. Therefore, nobody sees the termination or conclusion or exhausting of the dream. If you are dreaming, it continues. If you are as a dreamer is a person who is a part of the dream. Okay? Dreamer is a person who is a part of a dream. I repeat this because in my younger days when I was studying Vedanta, they say Waker is the dreamer. They talk like this. Dreamer is real and the dream is unreal. They talk like that. Dreamer is real and dream is unreal. I used to get confused. What is this? They talk like that. How can the dreamer be real? This is what the Vedanta, even now they have the same thing. They remain there alone, in dream alone. Once you say dreamer is real, you remain in dream. You keep dreaming only. So, the dreamer, by dreaming, you can't exhaust the dream. So, from the standpoint of Sakshi, the witness of the dream, there is no dream, that's all. Do you ever experience gradually coming out of the dream? Do you ever have an experience where you come out of the dream? If you are experiencing the dream, you are a dreamer. And from the standpoint of Sakshi, there is no dream, that's all. That in between what happens? There is no event. Ending a dream is not an event. So you find that you are free from dream, that's all. No ending a dream. Nobody can see that. Nobody can experience. Who should experience? Tell me. Who should experience? How can he experience the termination of dream or ending of a dream? As a dreamer, the dreaming person, the person who is a part of the dream, who is experiencing the dream, he can never end the dream. But the Sakshi, there is no dream at all. The witness of the dream, the entire conscious witness of the dream, has no dream at all. So how are you going to end it? From the standpoint of the Sakshi of the dream, there is no dream. Sakshi doesn't say dream has ended. Even if you say there is no dream, dream has ended, all that is a gauna. Gauna means a secondary. There is no dream at all. Where is the question of ending? Neither there is a dream nor there is an ending. So therefore, from the standpoint of Sakshi, there is no dream at all. From the standpoint of dreamer, there is no beginning and ending. It is there. This is the beautiful statement of Bhashyakara, Anadir-Anantaha. We discussed this elaborately in Vedanta Paribhasha, those who have heard in Kannada. Whole 1 hour we spent on this alone. How it is very clear. Those people who talk of the beginning of Adhyasa, production of Adhyasa, they are grossly mistaken, I tell you. They are seriously mistaken. Isn't it? They are seriously mistaken. That the Adhyasa produced, there is a material which produces Adhyasa, and all that is a lot of wild imagination. You are wrongly interpreting that means you are ignoring Anubhava and using your logic. That is a worldly logic. In Paramartha Chintamani we were discussing, one is a Vyapaka Yukti, another is a Sankuchita Yukti. A narrow logic and a narrow reason, and another is a comprehensive reason. Vyapaka Yukti is comprehensive. A logic based upon Anubhava is comprehensive logic, comprehensive reasoning. Another is a narrow reasoning. So they apply narrow reasoning to understand Adhyasa. They take worldly instance of Adhyasa, snake, and with that help they apply that logic to this Anubhava Adhyasa of Prapancha Anubhava Adhyasa. Prapancha Anubhava Adhyasa, this entire Samsarika Adhyasa has no beginning and no end. And they try to see a beginning and ending to this Anubhava Rupa Adhyasa. They are grossly mistaken, because they are not looking at it from the Anubhava standpoint. That's why it is a narrow logic. Logic from the narrow standpoint. It is a narrow reasoning, not a comprehensive reasoning. Okay, that we are discussing. Even now we are discussing it. One part, I think tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow Paramartha Chintamani will come. Tomorrow we will continue it. A comprehensive reasoning and limited reasoning, a narrow reasoning. And the limited or narrow reasoning cannot explain all the three states, because the reasoning that applies to the events within the waking state or within the dream state, the reasoning, the inference that is applicable to the events and objects within a state cannot be used to understand the states as a whole, because one who is watching the states as a whole is a Sakshi, or Swamiji says universal intuition. Universal intuition or avastha intuition or Sakshi standpoint. You take either of these three, either the standpoint of a Sakshi or the universal intuition, or take avastha intuition. All these three are the same. So from the standpoint of avastha intuition, the logic applied is different. So this is called a comprehensive reasoning. So the limited narrow reasoning is applicable to the events and objects within a given state. So you can't apply the same logic for the events of one avastha to another avastha. The events of one avastha to another avastha, you can't apply. Second thing is, each avastha has its own way. So you have to apply the comprehensive logic. And this is where they miss it. The Vyakhyanakaras, the post-Shankarites, are Mula Vidyavadis. Okay? Whether you call Vyakhyanakara or sub-commentators in English, because commentary means Bhashya, Shankaracharya. Sub-commentators are Vyakhyanakaras, or post-Shankarites, or Mula Vidyavadins. All the three mean the same. They use the narrow logic. So they try to interpret Adhyasa with the reasoning that is related to the worldly instances. Worldly instances begin in time and place. Similarly, they think Adhyasa begins. That is very strange. Okay. So it is Anubhava Viruddha. What they talk is against Anubhava. Okay. Now let us continue. This is one important statement I have underlined. In my book, it is the 51st page, the first line. Nahi vastavam janyatvam. This one sentence explains the entire Adhyasa. This is not Satchidananda Shankara's statement. It is Swamiji's statement. It is a beautiful statement. Nahi vastavam janyatvam janakatvam va anubhavan adhyaso nama bhavati. It can't be called Adhyasa if it is subject to birth and death, if it is subject to beginning and end. what begins and end cannot be called adhyasa. If you take literally translate this statement, what has a beginning and an ending cannot be called adhyasa. See, what has a beginning and an ending cannot be called adhyasa, because the beginning and ending is an event in time and place. That is applicable to the events within an avastha, but all the avasthas put together cannot have beginning and ending. Okay, we'll proceed. Tasmat adhyasasya adimatvam purvadhyasa samskara janyatvam va na yuktimat. Therefore, it doesn't stand to reason. Yuktimat. Yuktimat means it is not reasonable, it is not logical to say that adhyasa has a beginning and it is born of samskaras of previous adhyasa. This is a wild speculation against anubhava. Okay, now the next. Yat punaha is the second argument, reply to the second argument, second objection. He repeats Bhamatikara's objection. Yat punaraha avidyanasha vyatirekena tat samskaropi apanetavyaha anyatha tadvashat punarapi avidyothana prasangaditi. Now, as per your argument, that Bhamatikara's argument, Swamiji repeats and replies. Now he is repeating like this. If avidyanasha vyatirekena, in addition to destruction of adhyasa, by knowledge, with the help of knowledge, destroying adhyasa is not enough. He says destroying adhyasa is not enough. You have to destroy its samskaras also. Its root also you have to destroy. Therefore, yat punaha avidyanasha vyatirekena, in addition to adhyasa, tat samskaropi apanetavyaha. Anyatha, otherwise means if you don't destroy samskaras also, if you think that just to destroy adhyasa and it is enough, if you think that it is enough to destroy adhyasa, so we generally say adhyasa is everything, therefore destruction of adhyasa is enough. Now he says, if you think that destruction of adhyasa alone is enough and you don't need to destroy the samskaras, then what happens? The destroyed adhyasa goes away, but another similar adhyasa will come back because the samskaras are remain. It is like cutting a tree without plucking out the roots from the earth. You have to pull out along with the roots. If you only cut the trees on the earth, leaving the roots embedded in the earth, if you leave the roots embedded in the earth, only cut the trunk of the tree, again it will sprout because the roots are continuing to exist in the earth. As long as the roots are there, this tree will go away, but the same tree, the similar tree, I don't know whether to call the same tree or similar tree. So again it will sprout. Therefore, samskara also must be destroyed. This is what you told. Now here is my reply. Tat sarvata nakshamamahe. Swamiji's reply is, we don't accept this argument at all because bhashya viruddhatvat. This is anubhava viruddha, we have already told. Now say it is bhashya viruddha because Bhashyakara never said like that. Bhashyakara always told all that so-called samskara and all that whatever you call is within adhyasa. Nothing is outside adhyasa. That's all we mean it. Everything has to be included within adhyasa. Don't talk of anything outside adhyasa. This is what we say. Outside adhyasa is Brahman alone. Except Brahman, nothing outside adhyasa. Brahman and everything else is adhyasthan Brahman. Only two things. One is Advitiya Brahman and anything other than Brahman is adhyastha. That's all. This is the straight and simple explanation. Therefore, it is bhashya viruddhatvat. How bhashya viruddham? He gives a few of the bhashya quotations. How many? 4, 5, 6. Number of Bhashya quotations show clearly nowhere Bhashyakara says that there is something more to be done after destroying Adhyasa. Once you destroy Adhyasa, Dvaitam is gone. Where is the question of something else to survive in order to produce another Adhyasa? So here you see, Vidyayam hi satyam Vudite savitare sharvarameva tamah pranashamapagachyatya vidya. This is Gita Bhashya, 2nd Adhyaya, 69th mantra. Here he says, Vidyayam satyam. When there is a knowledge, avidya just doesn't exist. Avidya disappears is a way of telling. Doesn't exist is the anubhava. See, when there is knowledge, there is no avidya. That's all. There is knowledge, that's all. There is no avidya. That it goes away is a way of explanation. It is a prakriya. The way of explanation means there was avidya and it has gone now. It is a way of telling. But the anubhava says, when there is knowledge, there is no avidya. That's all. There is knowledge. That's all. There is no avidya. So, vidyayam hi satyam. When, see, Bhashyakara says, when there is a vidya, knowledge, there is no ignorance. How? Udite savitari sharvarameva tamaha pranashamapagachyati. Just as the sun rises, the darkness disappears. Darkness of the night goes away as the sun rises. Similarly, as the knowledge rises, adhyasa goes away. That's all. Is not telling, oh, after knowledge arises, adhyasa goes away, but you have to wait for some more time until its roots are plucked out. Do you say like that? Bhashyakara doesn't say that. Okay, so Sakrudutpanna, next another quotation, Sutra Bhashya. Sakrudutpannaiva hi atma pratipattir avidyam nivartayati. Once when the knowledge arises, it removes the avidya totally. Nowhere Bhashyakara says avidya along with its cause. Avidya sakaranam nivartate. He never says that. Avidya is the karanam for everything. Adhyasa is the Adhyasa along with its cause. This word Shankara never uses. Adhyasa along with its cause. Avidya along with its cause. He never says that. Because there is no cause. Sakrudutpannaivahi atma pratipattihi. The knowledge once dawns, that's all. It destroys avidya. Another quotation. Brahma vidya samakalameva avidya matra vyavadhana apagamat. Brahma vidya samakalameva. Simultaneously with the knowledge, the obstruction of avidya ceases to exist, ceases. Obstruction of avidya ceases the very moment when the knowledge dawns. As the knowledge dawns, there are not two steps. They say, Purvapakshis, vidya rising and avidya going away. There are two steps. This is what Vyakhyanakaras, Mula Vidyavadins say. Vidya rising and avidya destroying. Vidya rises first and the next moment avidya is destroyed. So there is a two steps. First vidya rises and until the next step avidya remains. But what Bhashyakara says is, it is the same thing whether you call it vidya rising or avidya going away. They are not two steps. They are simultaneous, or in other words, not simultaneous. It is the one stated in two ways. It is not even simultaneous. Though Bhashyakara says simultaneous, it is not even simultaneous. Avidya going, vidya rising. They are not two things. The one alone talked by two different words. The same thing talked by two different statements. Vidya rising means no avidya. No avidya means vidya has risen. It is the same experience talked by two different statements. Okay. Brahma vidya samakalameva avidyamat, because avidya is the only obstruction. Obstruction means only obstruction is okay. Only impediment. Just that impediment goes away means what? It doesn't exist. Where is the question of going away? When the vidya rises, that's all. Avidya is gone. Avidya is gone is a way of telling, it is a prakriya, but there is no avidya, is anubhava. When you wake up, given a simple example, when you wake up, do you think that the dream state was covering the waking state? Dream state was covering the waking state? Or the dream has gone and then you see that it is natural, waking is natural. Okay. Similarly, vidya rising, there is no avidya, that's all. Iti asakruduchyate bhashye vidya pranashyatvam avidyayah. Avidya, that is adhyasa, is destroyed by knowledge. Only adhyasa is destroyed. Adhyasa destroyed means what? Adhyasa is a standpoint. You come to the Sakshi standpoint and there is no adhyasa, that's all. Is a wrong standpoint, ceases to be there, not goes away. Goes away also is a way of telling. The wrong standpoint, which is avidya, ceases to be there when you take a right standpoint, that's all. In the right standpoint, avidya itself is not there. Because avidya means a wrong standpoint automatically is not there. You don't remove. Removing means there is an effort, there is a karma. It looks like a karma. It is an event. Okay? Removing is an event, but here it is not an event. To help you to understand how removal of avidya is not an event, is not a karma, it is a jnana alone. Why we repeat so much? Do you understand? It is a jnanam, not karma. It is not a karma. Avidya nivritti is not a karma, is not an event. We are affecting. It is not an event, we are affecting. We only understand that there is no avidya and they are already Brahman. Okay? Vidyotpattau nahi ekatva vijnanena unmathitasya dvaita vijnanasya punas sambhavosti. This is one more thing. This is the fourth sutra. Once the avidya dvaita vijnanam. Vijnanam means anubhava. That dvaita anubhava pratyaya goes away with jnanam, ekatva vijnanena, by the ekatva intuition, with the intuition of oneness, the dvaitam gets corrected, the dvaita thought gets corrected, then na punas sambhavosti, there is no chance of dvaitam coming back. Bhamatikara says, adhyasa goes away, no doubt, but it comes back due to samskaras. He says there is no question of coming back. There is no chance. Okay? Nahi ekatva vijnanena unmathitasya dvaita vijnanasya punas sambhavosti. Vidyotpattau avidyayah hastatvat tadashraye avidyanupapatte. The Ishavasya. Once the vidya arises in mind means in your anubhava, in the same anubhava, avidya continuing is impossible. They say vidya rises and for a while avidya remains and that vidya handles it and destroys it. Why do you say that? He says they are not opposite to each other. When vidya rises, avidya next moment it goes away. The vidya having come, it is something like a person comes home, comes to the room. After coming, he sends away other person. Okay? He comes and he tells him, hey, how come you go away? This fellow goes away and he remains there. It is like shifting the duty. One person, he comes, takes charge and releases the other person, relieves the other person, previous person. So during the relieving, taking the charge and relieving the other person, they exist simultaneously side by side. The two people, you find the previous officer and the next officer. Both of them are present simultaneously at one point. Okay? At one point they are maybe for a few seconds, but they are together there. He has to receive the charge and relieve the previous one. Here, similarly, this Vyakyanakaras Mula Vidya Vadansi say, Vidya rises and the next moment it tackles the Vidya. Is there any such a thing? But what Bhashakaras or Sachidananda Swamiji's view is, avidya rising, vidya disappearing are not two steps. There is no sequence. Two step means there is no sequence. Oh, you mean simultaneous? Neither sequence nor simultaneous. That is better. Neither sequence nor simultaneous. The very rising of vidya is synonymous to absence of avidya. There is no avidya, that's all. Vidya rising means there is no avidya. I think don't think that I am just repeating it. This is a subtle point you have to understand. It is a very sukshma point, subtle point you have to understand. Therefore, I am repeating it. It's not repeating. In fact, we are touching the subtle point. This subtle point itself makes the Vedanta very clear. It's not simply technically bookish. It is anubhavanusaravai. Okay? Ityekatva vijnanena unmatitasya. Vidyotpattau avidyayaha astatvat. Okay. When the vidya utpattau avidyayaha astatvat, when the vidya rises, avidya is not there. Avidya goes away, don't say that. When the knowledge rises, knowledge dawns, there is no avidya, that's all. Because the very rising is absence of avidya. Because avidya is only absence of knowledge. Avidya is absence of knowledge. When the knowledge comes, there is no avidya, that's all. There is no book and no book has come. No, after book has come, the absence of book drives away. What is it? The book has come. The book which has come drives away the absence of book. Where is the question of driving away? There is no such thing called absence of book. Okay. Therefore, vidyotpattau avidyayahi astatvat tadashraya avidya anupapatte. In the same person, ashraya means in that same person, in the same anubhava, there can't be avidya. Okay. Paramartha darshanat brahmavit trutiyam bija bhavam dagdva atmanam pravishtaha iti na punarjayate turiyasya abhiyatvat. Nahi rajju sarpayor viveke rajvam pravishtas sarpaha buddhi samskarat punah purvavat tad vivekinam utthasyati. This is also beautiful. Mandukya Vakyam. Paramartha darshanat brahmavit. The brahmavit, these are just bhashya quotations, various quotations, but the quotations are explaining the point very clearly and beautifully. Paramartha darshanat, by the darshanam, by the intuition of Brahman, brahmavit trutiyam bija bhavam dagdva. Trutiyam means what? Avyakta. Trutiya pada. Trutiyam means trutiya pada. First pada was a Vaishvanara, waking. Second pada was dream, Taijasa. Third pada is prajna sushupti. So it burns away. Trutiyam bija bhavam dagdva. The trutiyam bija, it burns away. Atmanam pravishtaha. Having burnt away the third pada, that means sushupti taken as avastha ceases to be avastha, that's all. Sushupti was understood as avastha before. Now you understand sushupti is swarupam, because he is sushupti, he doesn't come to sushupti. If you think you are coming to sushupti, then you will have to go back. You have to leave the sushupti. See, simple thing. What is trutiya pada and what is turiya pada? Trutiya pada is sushupti. Turiya is, okay, it is the swarupam. What is the difference? But we say both are sushupti. Sushupti is turiya, sushupti is avyakta or prajna. What is the difference? Trutiya pada and turiya pada. What is the difference? If you think you are going to sushupti, then you will have to go back from sushupti. If you are coming to sushupti, if you are going to sleep, then you will wake up also. If you have this thought, if this is the way you look at sushupti, then that is trutiya pada. Trutiya pada means you are going to sushupti, then you will have to come back, slip down sushupti. One who goes to sushupti will slip down sushupti. But there is another one. You are the sushupti. You have never come to sushupti because you are you. No, you can never come to yourself because you are already there. You are self-existing. You don't come to yourself because there is no coming and going. You are always there. This is Turiya. Therefore, Sushupti is not one where you go and merge into it. If you think that you are going and merging, then that is the Tritiya Pada, Prajna Pada. That is Avyakta. Sushupti as an avastha, that is. But avastha means you come to it and then you slip out of it. You come to it and then you leave it. But Turiyam, the same Sushupti, understood as Turiyam, taken as avastha and understood as, see, two things are there. Sushupti is Turiyam and you can understand it as Turiyam. But you can take it to be avastha. Avastha is taken, neither understood. Sushupti is not avastha. It is taken to be avastha. See the difference. I think you note this English word. Sushupti is not avastha. It is taken to be avastha. Okay. But it is Turiya. It is taken to be avastha, but it is Turiya. Therefore, you understand it to be Turiya. Understand it to be whatever it is. So, you think that you are coming to Sushupti, then you will have to leave Sushupti. This coming and leaving Sushupti is called avastha. But Turiyam, the same Sushupti, is understood as Turiyam because neither you come nor you go. No coming and going. It is eternal existence, self-existent Sushupti. That is yourself. Therefore, Sushupti is not an avastha because you are not going to Sushupti. You are Sushupti. That means you don't go to yourself because there is no distance between you and you. There are no two yous. You are just you. I am just myself. So when everything else goes away and you alone remain, that is a non-dual you. Therefore, Turiya you are Turiya, you don't attain Turiya. You attain avastha, but not Turiya. Turiya is yourself. Therefore, Turiyasya abhijatvat. So, if you go to avastha, that means if you go to sleep, you will slip out of the sleep. That is called bija. Bija means some kind of a seed. If you go to sleep, then you will leave the sleep. But Turiya, there is no bija. Abhijatvat. Because Turiya is something burns away the bija. See, this is a way of telling. It is a poetic way of telling. Turiya means you burn away the Tritiya Pada. You burn away the Sushupti Pada. Sushupti as an avastha. How do you burn away? Burning away means what? The wrong standpoint you drop off. You come to the right understanding and then there is no avastha, that's all. Avastha is only adhyasa. Adhyasa means wrong standpoint. Adhyasa means you are taking a wrong standpoint. When you see the right, wrong standpoint is not there, that's all. Wrong standpoint gets corrected because it is wrong. When you see yourself, for you there is no avastha. This is important. You have no avastha. You are Turiya because you have no avastha. If you take yourself as coming from somewhere, that means you are a tentative avastha. If you think that you are coming to yourself tentatively from somebody, then that coming is a tentative state. Do you ever come to yourself? This is a good question. Do you ever come to yourself? Where do you come from? You come to yourself from outside. Outside, where do you come? You come to yourself. If you are self, you can't come because you are the self. See, this is different. You are the self. You don't come to yourself. If you think that you are coming, that means you are coming from two things are it. Two misunderstandings are there. One is you are coming from somewhere outside. Second thing is when you are coming to yourself, that means from outside you have come. That coming will not be eternal. Coming to yourself won't be eternal. You will go away also. You will slip down yourself. If you think you are coming, then you will slip down. But yourself, no coming and no going. You are you. That is Turiya. This is the simple difference between Turiya and Sushupti. Okay. I hope I am not confusing you. Turiya is you don't come. Because coming implies that you are outside yourself. Can you go outside yourself? Can you go away from yourself so that you can come back to yourself? Going away from yourself and come back to yourself, both are wrong. Both are adhyasa. Because you can never go away from yourself. Therefore, there can't be coming back to yourself. You are yourself. You are always existing. This is Turiya. This understanding that you can never go away from yourself, the needing you to come back to yourself. You have not gone away, therefore you don't have to come. You have never been away, you have been yourself. You have been and you are yourself. Therefore, Sushupti is just yourself. Neither you have come from outside nor you go away from, because there is no outside. You are you. This is Turiya. This is the way you understand your Turiya. Okay. Purvavat. Therefore, nahi raj. Turiyasya abijatva. Then there is no bija. What is bija? If you think that you have come from outside, then that is a bija. Because the very thought of coming from outside implies that you are likely to slip down also. You are likely to go away also. Then going away is possible. That going away is called seed. Seed means what? This is what seed is. But this seed is destroyed by Turiya. In Turiya, there is no seed. Okay, the time is up. I'll just take 2 minutes because I started late today. Or shall I stop here? I think I'll conclude this and then. And this quotation. Turiyasya abijatva. There is no bija because you have not come to. Bija means if you think you have come to yourself, then that is a bija. Because the coming means you are imagining from outside. The very standpoint is from outside. Outside yourself, you are coming to yourself. That's wrong. Because there is no such thing called outside. You are you. No coming, no going. You are always there. This is Turiya. I think this much of difference is very clear. I feel Vedanta is the clearest thing. It's the Vyakhyanakaras unnecessarily confused, complicated. They unnecessarily complicated. They might mean the same thing as what we mean, but they go round and round and round. That confuses, that complicates the issue. Probably they mean the same, but the way of presentation is complicating. The way of presentation is complicating. Therefore, Turiya is abija. Abija means there is no coming and going. You are you. You have been that and you are and you will remain that. You have never gone out so that you have to come back. You have been never away from yourself. You have been yourself. That's all. This is what Turiya means. Therefore, in Turiya there is no bija. Means you are understanding yourself in such a way that there is no coming and slipping down. If you are coming and slipping down, coming and going away is Tritiya. That is a bija. There is no bija means I have not come from outside nor I will go away. No coming and going is nirbija. Therefore, bija gets burnt is a way of telling, poetic way of telling. Bija gets burnt means what? No going, no slipping down. If you have come, you will be slipping down. There is no slipping down because there is no bija. You have never slipped. Neither you have slipped neither before nor you can slip now. There is no such thing called slipping. Slipping down itself is wrong. You have been always Brahman. You are Brahman, you have been Brahman, you remain Brahman. This is called Turiya. I hope the point is clear to you. Okay? Nahi Raj. Now he is giving an example. Same Mandukya Bhashya. Bhashyakara says, Rajya Sarpayor Viveke Rajvam Pravishta Sarpaha. When you understand that Sarpa is false and Rajju alone is real, with this understanding, the Sarpa which is negated cannot come back again. There you can't say that after understanding Rajju, after understanding rope, you can't say that the Sarpa has gone deeply into the rope and it will come back. Come back? There is no Sarpa. Where is the question of coming back? If you assume Sarpa, then the question of coming and going. Snake itself doesn't exist. Then where is the question of coming and going? So therefore, no, there is no bija. There is no seed. It is only just a non-dual Brahman. Therefore, Sarpo buddhi samskarat punah purvavat tadvivekina muttasyati. After knowing it, again it won't arise. Therefore, that Bhamatikara's explanation that if you remove adhyasa, it will come back due to its samskaras. This is wrong because samskaras themselves is adhyasta. Samskaras is adhyasta. You drop the adhyasa standpoint. That's all. There is no samskara again. There is no question of coming back. Tasman, just one sentence, I'll conclude today's talk because I've already taken extra 10 minutes. Okay. Tasmanna vidyayam satyayam vidya sambhavosti avidya. Therefore, once the knowledge rises, there is no chance for avidya to continue to exist or come back. Neither they talk of it, avidya goes and comes back. Neither goes nor comes back nor avidya continues. Vidya rising, that's all. There is no avidya. That's the end of it. Iti cha vidyapabadita vidyayaha punarutthana shanka cha nirakriyate. Once the vidya falsifies it, there is no question of avidya again continuing, coming back or tentatively coming back. All that is wrong. Okay. Once you understand, there is no avidya. This is clean. Next, then Shruti Bhashya cha. Now he told it is against logic, against Anubhava. Now he says it is against Bhashya. Swamiji quoted plenty of Bhashya Vakyas. And now he says it is Shruti Bhashya. In fact, it is against Shruti. Okay, that against Shruti point we will see in the next class. I think this 33 point is a long point. It is taking number of days. Anyway, how many days it takes, how big is the passage, not the point, does it become clear to you? That Turiya and Sushupti. Sushupti as a state and Turiya. See the difference. It is the way of looking. If you are looking wrongly, still you consider it as a state. But Swarupam, it is not a state. Because you have not come to the Brahman. You have not come to Sushupti. As long as you think that you attain Sushupti, then it is a state. Then you say you are Sushupti. Where is the question of attaining and coming and go? Sushupti is another name for yourself. It is synonymous to yourself. And you don't come to yourself. You are you. You always exist. You have never gone away from you, nor you need to come back to you. You are you. This is Turiya. I hope understanding yourself as an avastha is one. Understanding yourself as Brahman, as Turiya is another. So this point, I think, the two understandings, two ways of, is very clear. The distinction between them is clear, I suppose. Anyway, it continues again. Swamiji is not going to leave anything vague. He makes it again and again and again and makes it thoroughly clear. Okay. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.